Today, I'm sitting down with Nelvia Bullock, who is one of the most detail oriented real estate professionals you will ever meet. Her quality and care is sky high, and she's carved out an hour for us today to sit down and talk about how she became a $10 million agent and then blew past that and the work that it actually took. So, Nelvia, thank you so much for being on today.
Wonderful. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to chat with you today, Marissa.
Yeah, definitely. So let's jump right in. Tell me, what are you on pace to hit production wise in 2026? And then what did you do in 2025?
So far for 2026, I should hit about 21 million. And in 2025, I did 16.5 million.
All right. That's a great jump. And then what was your first year that you hit 10 million in production?
It was my third year in real estate. I think my first year I did like 2.5. My second year I did 7 million. I think my third year was a $10 million year.
Yeah. And that's even, I remember when I first met, you were breastfeeding your youngest son.
Yes, and the funny thing is my first year, I didn't really dip my whole foot into real estate. I just kinda dipped my toe in it, and I was just testing the water because I'm sure you remember this. I fell into real estate because I was the product of 3 major relocations, and we were working with a realtor that my husband knew from a previous relationship, and I felt myself filling in the gaps and doing some of the work. And I still remember sitting at the closing table telling my husband, Todd, I think I'm going to go to real estate school after
He's like,
this. So I just fell into this career. I didn't wake up one day and say, oh, I think I want to be a real estate agent when I grow up.
yeah. So, okay, well, give us, I love the backstory. So, will you just rewind the tape even a little bit further? Just what were you doing
Yes.
before? Kind of, if you don't mind
Yes.
sharing a little bit of
I
your
don't mind sharing
family,
at all.
like,
So I had worked in sales and marketing my entire career. And right before I moved to Charlotte, I was living in San Francisco. I was working for Autodesk, and Autodesk is the leader in 3D engineering design software tools. They had a product called AutoCAD. I worked in their consumer division. So I helped create marketing campaigns for Porsche, Whole Foods, Dell, a lot of microchip technology companies, and we had a consumer division, and we did ads, and we did just a multitude of marketing suite options for these companies. So we moved here in July of 2016. My daughter was 9 months old. We were moving here from my husband's job, and I just wanted to get settled, be a mom, raise my kid, and find a house in the process. So, as I started shopping for a home, I decided to go down the journey of new construction. And we built a Pulte home in the South Charlotte area, and during that process, I learned so much about real estate, and I learned so much about all of the integral pieces that it takes to
mhm.
pull a transaction together. So I attended my inspection. I attended all of my builder meetings, the construction meetings, the next step meetings, and we ran into some challenges on the lending side. So I learned a lot about the lending process.
Mhm.
And I learned, who you have as your preferred lender matters,
Yes.
because when things fall apart and you needed to be rescued, who are you going to call to do that?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so
So, oh, go ahead.
9-month-old, I was like, just relook so it went from, like, San Francisco to the South, built a new construction, 9-month-old, husband's a big corporate guy, like, start so
Correct. I didn't know anybody here. I didn't have a network here. I didn't have anything established in Charlotte. And I really just had to jump right in head first and figure it out and build everything from scratch. And people say that the beauty is in new beginnings. And it really was a beautiful new beginning for my family. And I had no idea what started as just a simple relocation would just transform everything for the trajectory of me and my family.
okay, and so then you decide to get the real estate license.
Are
How
you
did
hearing those beeps, by the way?
beeping?
Yeah, I keep having, sorry, Marissa, I need to turn my notifications
Mhm.
off. They're like, they're coming through on my computer, and I don't know how to I wonder if I just turn it to do not disturb, if that will stop it, because 'cause they're,
Yeah.
like, all coming through across my screen. Okay, do not
It's spring selling
okay.
season.
Alright, there we go. Okay, so yes, it was just a whirlwind of events, and I never thought that things would develop the way that they did.
Yeah, it's a pretty interesting story, but there's no surprise. Like you're an aesthetics. I call you a pretty person, so the marketing background, the aesthetics, like that dovetails pretty nicely into real estate.
It does, and it's funny because I used to go to Starbucks every day, and I would go online, and I would look at jobs at, like, Oracle or Red Ventures, and I'd be like, that's not exciting me." And there was a guy who was an agent who used to come into this same Starbucks. I would drop Madison off at daycare, and there was a Starbucks across the street, and I would just get on my computer, and he was like, "Have you ever considered a career in real estate?" And so between that and everything that had happened with my
Mhm.
house, I was like, "Something is pulling me into this industry." And
Yeah.
then I remember wanting to have everything perfect before I got started. "Oh, I gotta have this set up, and I gotta have that set up." But what you find is all you need is that first transaction, and then the second, and
No.
then the third, and so forth.
No. So tell me so your first year you did 2.5 million, and then had to change in your business and how you approached it to get to that 10 million level for the first time?
Say a number of things, but I think it boils down to starting where you are. That first client brings you your second client and your third client and so forth. And the more people that understand you're in real estate, the more conversations that you can be having about real estate. It's almost like a domino effect. But for me personally, what changed was the dedication, the focus, the daily habits, and wanting to be a student of the classroom and learn and absorb every single thing that you can. So if there was a training on CMA or market analysis or how to conduct an open house, I was front and center in the
Mhm.
room taking notes, and I just wanted to absorb as much as I can. And I got into coaching very early in my career as well.
Mhm.
As you know, I was one of your coaching students.
Yes. A plus one. A plus plus.
Thank
And
you.
you are I knew that about you from the day I met you. You're a lifelong learner and you check receipts, which I love because I think that's a big part of real estate and taking in information. And you take notes. You literally are front row center, taking notes, absorbing. And I think that's a really special thing about you because not
Take
everybody's.
my remarkable tablet wherever I go.
Mhm. You do.
I would also say that one of the things that really made an impact for me is that it was a personal journey for me because I
Mhm.
never wanted anybody else to go through what I went through. So, especially with first time homebuyers, it was like, let me hold your
Yeah.
hand. Let me take you on this home buying journey. Let me guide you. I really had a passion for wanting to walk people through what that
Yeah.
process looked like because it was so personal for me. And I know you know my famous home goods
Yes.
story. Can I share that
Of
story?
course, please.
Okay, so early in my career, I was probably year 3, year 4 in, and I was at Home Goods buying home decor, no brainer, realtor who likes home decor. And I was in line and I saw my broker in charge in line. And I was like, "Hey, I need to ask you something." And she's like, "Sure, what's up?" And I said, "I have these clients who are expecting a tax return and they need that tax return to close on their home. There
Mhm.
has been a delay in the actual receipt of when they're going to receive that tax return. And I want to know if I can gift them funds from my commission to close the gap." And the broker in charge was like, "Yeah, you can do that, but we need to go through these steps and this needs to happen." And as she was walking me through what to do, there was a gentleman in line behind us, and he tapped me on the shoulder and he says, "Excuse me, ma'am, are you a real estate agent?" And I says, "As a matter of fact,
Yes, I
I am."
am.
And in those days, I always had a stack of cards on me. I handed
Mhm.
him my card. He introduced himself to me and he explained that he and his wife were getting married that weekend and that he would be moving to Charlotte and that he wanted someone to advocate for him the
Mhm.
way I was willing to advocate for my clients. And he was one of my first early clients as well, because people can feel
Mhm.
that passion and they can feel that genuine care and concern from you.
Yeah, I mean, you do a tremendous job because I call it your preferred vendor team of, like, not only yourself, but making sure that the entire team is an ally and a resource, and you have very
It takes a
done an ex
village.
I was gonna say, you've done an exceptional job curating, all your people.
Well, thank you
That's
very much.
that is something else that stands out about you. Well, tell me, give us a how many years you've been in the business, and then when you think about lead generation, what did you do in the beginning as your number one source of business, and is it still your number one source of business today?
Okay, can you repeat that? That I felt like that was like
Yeah.
multi-layered. I
Yeah,
just want to
yeah.
make sure.
So how long we can start I'll give you
Okay.
the easy one. How many years have you been in the business?
So next May, it will be 10 years that I've been practicing real estate in Charlotte. And a decade in real estate is like 20 years in any other career,
I
just
agree.
because it's so involved and it requires so much.
I
So
agree. I agree. So, okay, when you first started, what was your number one source of business?
when I first started, open houses and online leads were the number one source of my business. I received online leads from my broker at a 50-50 split. I had to answer the phone and make contact with someone within like 5 to 10 minutes. And
Mhm.
I had to log my call in the CRM. And it was a very high pressure transactional type of scenario. And these people, all they wanted was for someone to open the door,
Yeah.
and you had to instantly open that door, establish rapport, remove any barriers that they had, and warm them up and just create this friendly relationship to where you weren't looked at as the person that just randomly opened the door, but you were looked at as someone that can genuinely help them alongside their home journey. So
Mhm.
working those cold leads where you had no relationship really allowed me to develop my personality and how I was going to relate to these clients to get them to like, know, and trust me.
Okay. So, internet leads, which that is a
Yeah.
brutal game. Anybody that's
Yeah.
done internet leads knows that's a
Yeah. Yeah.
you gotta be speedy.
Yes.
And then you did open houses, and then if we fast forward to today, what is your number one source of business?
I have to keep moving. Sorry, the light keeps turning
Turning
off.
on and off.
Yes, it's like it's on a timer. Today, I would say my number one source of business is referrals and word of mouth and past clients. And I know that that's three separate groups, but all of my business now comes to me organically. Even if I was to, well, let's just do this.
Yeah.
Let's just walk back through my last five closings, and I'm going to tell you where everybody came from.
Okay, so what she's doing right now is called a source report. Very important to know exactly where your people come from, so you can focus there.
Okay, you guys, so I'm gonna walk you through it, but just let me pull it up because, as Marissa said, I'm a receipts girl. Okay, so one of my last closings was from another Compass agent. She's based in the Bay Area, and this is the second person that she sent me. It was her friend's little brother. Another closing was someone that I've known for 20 years. We knew each other in high school, and she messaged me and told me that she wanted to relocate to Fort Mill exactly 2 years ago.
Okay.
I did a buyer consult with her and her husband over spring break, and they closed earlier this month.
Yay.
Another one of my recent closings was a past client who was also a referral from an agent in another market. And I sold him a single family home in Mooresville, and his family is growing. So he's moving into his move up home,
Okay.
Mooresville. So he was another recent closing. And then my next two closings are coming from a farm community and another referral from an agent in another market. So if you notice the trend there, it's all referral based or
Mhm.
past clients.
Mhm. Will you touch on farming for a second? Because you are a world-class farmer, and
Okay.
you have legs, and what I mean by that is you didn't just go like, "You know what, Marissa, I'm gonna farm." It's like, "You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna build, like, oak roots into this subdivision."
So I used to live in a neighborhood, and at the time that I was living in that neighborhood, again, I was a brand new agent, and I would drive down the street and I would see other people's signs in the yard, and I would get so angry that I would tell my husband, Marissa Boyle is dead to me. She didn't list with me. And one day he was like, well, if you really want to change that, why don't you proactively market yourself to people in this neighborhood? And I remember thinking, well, I don't have to proactively market in this neighborhood. They know who I am. I'm friends with them. They know I'm a realtor. But what I was missing is the dots were not connected.
Mhm,
So within all of the mom groups that I was in, I made sure that everybody knew that I was an agent. But I also made it a point to establish personal relationships with my neighbors. And I'll never forget what happened that was really like the magic bullet for me in this neighborhood. But I had a neighbor who listed with me and she was moving to Arizona. And she relocated to Arizona and I took all these beautiful pictures, all these high definition videos and marketing materials and everything was beautifully curated. And she called me and she says, "It's not working out here. We need to move back to Charlotte." And I was
like,
like, "Well, what do you mean? This is my first listing in this neighborhood. You can't move back. I have to sell your house." And she was like, "Unfortunately, this isn't for me. I gotta move back." But because I did such an amazing job at how I brought her home to the marketplace,
mhm,
other people on her street took notice. So some of the neighbors started reaching out, "Hey, we're interested in selling our house." And within 12 months, I had sold 3 homes on that street. Then my next door
mhm,
neighbor called and she said she was moving to Alabama and I listed her house. And I was doing everything. I was paying for staging. I was putting together beautiful marketing brochures. I was doing open houses all weekend. I really went like all in. So it just took that one listing for it to become a domino effect. Then what made it really cool is as I continued to have listings, let's just say 10 listings in, I started breaking price barriers and price thresholds, and now I was known for the woman that had sold the most expensive house in the
mhm.
neighborhood. So when I would put out a listing, it would become a running joke on the Facebook groups. "Huh, Nelvia just put this house on for X. She'll never get that." And then I would sell it and it would be like, "Oh my gosh."
Yes.
So after I had this track record of homes sold around me, and I had all these people in the community that were actively raising their hand and asking me to list their homes, I said, okay, I need to love on these people. So then I started doing quarterly pop buys to everybody in the neighborhood that I was looking to target. So there were a myriad of things that we did over the years, but some of the things that became staples is we would do succulents, where we'd send out a cute little plant with a cute little note. We would do like wrapped cookies for back to school. We would do candy boxes for Valentine's Day. We do pies at Thanksgiving. And even people who were not actively looking to buy and sell were now referring me to their friends and family because
Mhm.
I had established myself. And all the pop buys had my logo, my name, my number, and they were hand delivered by me and my family.
Yep.
So, I would say a lot of that went into my farming early on in that community.
Yeah. And how long have you had that farm at this point?
Whew, okay, so I would say probably about 7 years.
I was gonna say, yeah, you've been
Yeah, because my son is 7, and one of my listings that I had in this neighborhood, we went under contract on my way to the hospital to give birth to my and the house had been on the market for a long time because the market was a lot different then.
yeah,
Homes didn't go under contract on the first
right.
week. But I remember telling myself, "All I want for Christmas is for this home to go under contract."
Yeah,
And we went under contract on December 28th.
I like that. That's my mom's birthday too.
Oh, I love that. So
But
your mom and my son Maxwell share a birthday.
mm, yep.
Yes.
Little December babies that all you always have to do
So
something extra special after yep,
yes,
they're so close to
yes,
Christmas.
yes, but I think it's important to denote that your farm will always feed you, but you have to give back to
Yeah,
it, and have to pour into it, and it doesn't just mean give out gifts and do an open house. Be a beacon of support in the
yeah,
community. Um, that same neighborhood started a swim team about 3 years ago. Well, I was not only a sponsor for the swim team, my banner was up at the
mhm,
pool, so everybody saw that Bullock& and Co. was a sponsor. And then there was a mom in my neighborhood whose child was doing, BMX bike racing, and so I became a sponsor for that family and for that child, and anybody in my neighborhood who was passionate about a noteworthy cause or a community endeavor, I made it a point to show up and support their missions.
yeah, you're really another thing you excel at. You know, there's no surprise that you're hitting over 20,000,000. The BMX thing was really neat. I remember you were telling me about that, and I loved it because it's like the athletic fabric, and so the kids wear them, and your logo's
Correct,
just on
correct.
them. So
And so
that was a good one.
yeah, and the other thing is a lot of neighborhoods have softball teams, there's local soccer leagues, uh, there's softball, there's just so much basketball that you can tap
Get
into.
done.
And at one point, the elementary school, had asked me to sponsor a dad's club, so I was sponsoring, coffee and donuts for dads at the local elementary school. So there's so many ways to be visible and be
Be
present and
present. I was gonna say that's something you are very present and you show up in a big way for not only your personal family, but your greater community. I think at
well,
the
I
end, we should touch on some of those goals at the very end of this.
yes,
'Cause
yes,
those
I'm
are
happy to
those are
do
an
that.
important part of you. So, when you think about, the systems from coaching, so, like, the daily sales pipeline boards, you even touched on some of the pop by, like, top 50, 3 touch. What system stands out the most to you that helped your business?
To me, the pipeline report is just
Yeah,
incredible. Having an old-fashioned whiteboard where you list all of your buyers, all of your sellers, and knowing who's under contract, where they are in due diligence, what is their close day. I think having that visibility into your current business and your future business is everything. I still use my whiteboard to this day. I wish I had it with me. I would show it to you, but it's actually in my home office. I would say that would be number 1, and then I think the other, system that I think is really important is your personal touches and how many times
yeah.
you're touching and reaching out to that client throughout the course of a year. Birthdays, anniversary,
Mhm.
milestones that happen in their family. I think even if you just send somebody a text message, you may not be somebody that's gonna send out all the birthday cards and all the anniversary cards, but just thinking of you, or even an annual
Mhm.
card where it's a home anniversary card. Just something to where they don't forget you. I had a couple call me, and this is no lie, they called me 2 weeks ago, and I now have a signed listing, but one of the things she said is, "You send us a Christmas card every year." So I send out about 600 Christmas cards every single year,
Mhm.
and it's not just going to Aunt Betty and Uncle Earl, it's going to
Everybody.
everybody in my database and past clients and referral partners and such. Marissa, have you gotten a Christmas card from me yet?
Every year, and I look forward to it. I do. So here's something I wanna point out. It's just your realtor traditions and your rhythms are very important, and so you don't recreate the wheel. So it's like you think of like your own family traditions that you look forward to around holidays. It's like we need to create these in our real estate business. And you already pointed some of them out, like the succulents, the macaroons. It's like the candle. It's like all of these things I very much associate with you. And then the holiday card, it's like you have the cutest family. So it's like you, your husband, a daughter,
Oh,
and a
y'all wanna
son.
see the holiday card? I have
Yeah, I mean, show them one of them because you do such a great job of like
it's
the
gonna show on the
the out
camera.
the
Let's see. Okay.
outfits yeah, look at that, and
This
every
is
year
this is 2 years ago. So this is not the most recent Bullock holiday
yeah,
card, but yes.
But even that, and it's just like, yeah, I do look forward like, yours is one of my absolute favorite holiday cards to get
Oh,
because it's just
thank
like, "Oh,
you.
look at Nelvia and her beautiful family," and the outfits are always so cute and fun.
And then I also make my family dress up for Halloween, so all my neighbors look forward to seeing what our family costume is gonna be.
But
So
that's what
I
it
try to
is,
make
like,
it fun, yeah.
the traditions and the rhythms you do a really good job with.
And I think you just the biggest thing to appeal to your neighbors is just to be relatable, be authentic, be yourself, and have something to connect with them on. For example, your dog Luke, my dog Sasha, when I'm out on a walk walking my dog, "Hey Luke, what's up?" You just want to be a real human being, and naturally people are gonna say, "How is the market? What can you
Yeah.
tell me about real estate?" And
They will
Marissa
bring it up to you.
Yes, and Marissa taught me early on, if someone asks you how's the market and you don't know what to say, all you need to say is, "Business is great, but I can always use more." If you don't have anything
Yeah,
specific to say, that's just one little
your
tagline.
little escape phrases.
Yes,
I like
yes.
that. Alright, well, walk us through okay, so 20,000,000 plus agent at this point. Talk us through what does your weekly schedule look like and what is your daily schedule? Just some things that just non-negotiables.
So every Sunday, I sit down and I look at my week and I understand what I have coming at me so that I can be prepared for my week. And one of the things that I do is I look for spaces where I may need help. There could be a situation where I have a closing at 12 o'clock, but I also need to meet an HVAC guy at a listing. So I'm outsourcing and I'm leveraging and I'm making sure I have that support. My kids are also very active in after school activities. So another thing that I'm doing is making sure I have the right point people to help transport my children in the evenings because I may have a late meeting or I may have showings or I may have a listing appointment. So I plan the week and I make sure that I have coverage for everything that I need to accomplish. And then I try to make Mondays just an administrative day where I'm making all of my calls for my sellers and I'm making all of my calls for my buyers. I'm
Mhm.
doing my reverse prospecting. I'm working on social media assets and anything that requires me to be at the computer and just pounding a few things out. I like to do those things on Monday. And then I also do a few, motivational calls and a few collab calls on Monday as well, and we have team meetings on Monday. So
Mhm.
Mondays typically tend to be an out of the office, kind of at the
Work on the business instead
Yes,
of in
we're
the
on
business.
the
Yep.
business and not in the business. And then I try to allocate Tuesday through Friday for all of my client-facing appointments.
Yeah.
And then there are some days where I may work, from 9 o'clock in the morning until 10 o'clock at night because it just requires that. You just never know when things are going to come in. But one of the things that I've tried to get better at as my business grows and everything evolves is making sure that I still have a personal life, personal work life balance because you can't pour into others if you're pouring from an empty cup.
Yep. I agree. And you're a big traveler too. So I think that's something else I notice about you is you always have a trip or something to look forward to. And I think that's a little sneaky pro tip where it's like always have something that you're looking forward to that has nothing to do with real estate.
I just got back from St. Martin.
See,
It was my
there we go.
first time going there. I was there Mother's Day weekend, and we left on Thursday. We came back on Sunday. Even though I have small children, I still have to, like, kind of take time for
Yeah.
me, my husband, and just reset. But, I recommend going. Have you been?
Which one did you go to?
St. Martin.
I've not been to St. Martin.
And we also went to Anguilla as well, and the water is, like, crystal blue, like a postcard. The food is divine. The sand is crystal white. It's a nice little paradise.
4 days. That's just a quick
Yes, exactly, and it's a super short flight, like 3.5 hours max, maybe
I
even
like
3.
that. All right. I've done St. Lucia, so I gotta
I've done St. Lucia too. I love St.
yeah.
Lucia.
Well, all right, I'll put it on my list. So
Yes,
tell us,
absolutely.
when you think about how you operate, because you're very specific in how you operate and present, and it's what would you say about your identity and how you operate that might surprise agents or give them something to think about?
I don't know. I think you've stumped me there. My identity and okay, well, this may or may not stump you, but I am very, very hard on my children because I want them to grow up and be disciplined and be focused and be good students. So I'm a very
Active.
strict parent. I'm a very active yet strict parent, but I have higher standards that I place on my children that most people probably wouldn't place on kids that were
Mm,
7 to 10, but I think I'm a pretty, strict parent. What else? Believe it or not, I actually get nervous when I'm doing interviews like this. And it's so funny because I've probably been on the news a dozen times and I've done lots of interviews, but I still get nervous before I speak to someone.
interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. You know what? It echoes back to what I said at the beginning is your level of care is sky high compared to most people. And when I look at the way that you are with your kids, it's like you're creating excellence, and excellence has to be intentional. And I even look at your husband's family and your family, and it's like there is no mistake that you are Nelvia Bullock. There is no mistake that you are rising in media attention. And we'll touch on some of the other stuff at the end, but like excellence is intentional, and that just it is in your family to be excellent, and I just wanna say, like, it's not an accident, like, people you don't just wake up and be like, "Oh, look at my children flourishing and succeeding and speaking multiple languages, and Madison's off at, like, this, the next whatever she's gonna be, she'll be," you know?
Yeah, so I think that you just said something that really stood out to me. And when you take a step back and you think about like how did we get here?
Mhm,
I got here from a mindset of operational excellence.
mhm.
So a lot of the times if I only have 15 minutes, if I only have 20 minutes, I'm saying to myself, what can I get done on my to-do list that's going to propel me or push me ahead
Ah,
doing this now versus doing this later? So a lot of the times with my children, they wake up in the morning and they're playing around. I'm like, we gotta leave here by 7:45. I need you to complete A, B, C, D, E, F,
yeah.
G. And they're looking at me like, wait,
Kids,
what? I just woke up. I just want to have a bowl of cereal. I'm like, no, no, no.
let's
We gotta go
go.
shopping. And I think that I've just had to become so structured and so regimented in how I do things that I translate it into how I'm raising my children.
I mean, it's just you are who you are, and it goes through all aspects of your life, and your clients are very lucky to have your level of attention and excellence.
Well, I didn't wake up like this. It really took a long time to get here and evolve into this person. And I still remember a tip that you gave me years ago about when you have a listing appointment, you don't just roll up and pull up in the parking lot and be like, "I'm here." You get there 15, 20 minutes early. You
Mhm.
drive around the neighborhood. You see
Get
where the
yourself
pool
settled.
is.
Yeah.
You absorb the neighbors, and then once you've
Mhm.
collected yourself, you walk up
Mhm.
to the door 5 minutes early with all of your materials in tow,
Mhm.
your listing presentation, your Supra box. I'll never forget how you taught me that you always bring the Supra box to their home so you can show them the level of protection and security that that box provides versus
Yeah.
just showing up with a
And it's tactile because it's heavy, right? Like, we pick them up
Right.
all the time.
But when you show them that this is an app dedicated to just realtors and appraisers and inspectors, and it's very
Yeah.
secure, and we're gonna see a timestamp on when they open the door, when they
Yep.
close the door. People want that peace of mind, especially when it's an occupied home.
Right. It's more showing you care, right? All it's all about showing you care.
Yes, I'm a lot more structured than people probably realize. I know I crack a lot of jokes and I like to be the funny girl, but ultimately, I conduct myself in a very serious way at home.
Yes. Incredible. all across the board.
Now my husband, he's the one that'll get the kids and wrestle and play and get all funky. That's not me.
Go ahead, Don. Okay, tell me, so if somebody's listening, right? You're an inspiring woman, you've created a beautiful business, a beautiful family, you're a great member of the community. They're listening and they're like, "I wanna up my production." So if they're sitting around that, like, 4 to 8 million range, what would you encourage them or even force them to do over the next 90 days to get production up?
Well, I think a couple of things. And number one is I would hire some type of transaction coordinator or some type of administrative support person. Because when you hire that person, it's going to free up your time where you can spend more time in the field. And so even if you told yourself, I'm going to do one coffee meeting every single week, and I'm going to do one open house on the weekend, if you start having that back of the house support in place, it will free up your time to be able to go and do things. And then I would also tell you to find some advocates of people who will sing your praises when you're not in the room. A big referral partner for me was actually a past client of mine who went to this really big church. And every time someone in her church would say that they were looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate, she'd be like, "You got to call my realtor, Nelvia Bullock." So she was putting my name out there when I wasn't in the room because of A, my relationship with her, B, how I was able to advocate for her when I was her realtor, and just see she sees what I do for people and she wants to be connected with that.
Mhm,
So whether it's your hairdresser or maybe it's your manicurist or your esthetician, get those people on board with who you are and what you do, because those people have a multitude of people coming in and out of
mhm.
their doors. And if you can be a part of that conversation, that will also help create more business. And then next, I would say figure out what you wanna focus on. What is your niche gonna be? Do you wanna be the neighborhood expert? Do you wanna be the South End guru that helps young professionals buy their first home? Or do you wanna be the woman who sells the estate home in Ballantyne or in Union County? Figure out what your niche is and become really good at that and just continue to repeat those efforts.
Okay, I mean, phenomenal. So, leverage out the low dollar per hour tasks that are typically admin. Work we call it your core 10, right? So get your core advocates out there, speaking life into your business. And then the third thing was pick your niche and focus. Because there's about a
Yes,
thousand different ways to generate
and
business, and you got to focus.
yes, yes, and when you're talking about, like, the transaction coordinator, also pay the sign guy $50 to put your sign up for you, because why are you gonna drive out to
It's either
kind
like
of
frozen ground or you're like
one
sweating in the
sign
summer.
where we're in a drought and you're, like, jumping on the sign, trying to stick it into the ground. Everyone's like, "Who is this crazy woman over here?" So, it's those little tasks that could make a big impact for you.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, one more piece of advice. So if somebody's thinking about coaching with me, who would you say it's for and who would you say it's not for?
I would say it's for anybody who wants to level up their business and they really just want a packaged plug and play. Here is how you run your business. Here is how you should be operating. So, anybody that wants to level up and grow their business, Marissa Boyle Coaching is definitely for you. Who it's not for is for someone who does not wanna do the work and does not wanna be held accountable for achieving your goals, because Marissa will hold you to doing what it is you said you were going to do. But her coaching is really fun and you learn a lot about yourself and you can push yourself and you can really grow. And I don't think that you reach a point where you're too cool for coaching, because you can always be doing more and you can always refine your daily habits by using a seasoned coach.
Ah, well, thank you.
And Marissa will coach your whole self. She's just not gonna coach your real estate business. If your house is on fire, she's gonna help you blow it out.
Yeah. We've gotta take care of the entirety of you because it shows up, right? Like, it's like, there's no surprise. Like, for you, it's just back to you are who you are across all domains, and it's that saying of how you show up here is how you show up everywhere.
I
So,
like that.
I like that. Alright, well, tell us. So now I wanna know the scoop on what's getting you lit up personally, professionally, what you're working on now or 10 years from now? Like, what's got Nelvia excited?
You know, I think what has me excited is just peace.
Mm,
I just want to be at peace with every decision. And so, for example, if someone chooses to not list with me, that's okay because that's creating space and
mm,
making room for me and another opportunity. So, I'm just really excited about mental health, peace,
mhm,
joy, fulfillment, happiness. I think that if you don't have that foundation, it's really hard for everything else to flow and
mhm,
work out. So, peace is number one. Number two, for me, is just continuing to work at operational excellence and figuring out how to be better with each day. And then number three, I'm still trying to increase my media presence.
mhm,
um, Many of you know I was the featured realtor for the HGTV Dream Home this year, and that was a big career high for me, but I'm also wanting to leverage that momentum and what's next? What does that look like? Is there another TV opportunity? Is there a co-branding opportunity? Is there an opportunity for me to do more speaking engagements, more podcast interviews like this? So I'm really just super focused around what that looks like. And the other thing that I'm trying to do is just build a consistent legacy for my family and for my children. I took my daughter and my son and one of their friends from school to a broker open last week. Do you know this story?
No, have not heard this.
One of our mutual friends had a broker
Yeah.
open last week in my neighborhood, and I said, "Well, I'm gonna go and support." And so
Yeah.
I picked the kids up from school, and when they got in the car, I said, "We're going to an open house." And they were like, "Well, why are we
What?
going to an open house?" And I said, "Madison," my daughter's Madison, "Madison, what's the purpose of an open house?" "Mommy, I know what the purpose is. It's to sell a home." So we go to the house, they walk around, they look at everything, we get in the car, and I said, "How much do you guys think that home was listed for?" And Madison was within a $25,000 increment
Man.
of the auction price. And then I said, "All right, I'm playing the right seats with these kids. They know their stuff." And so that just made me really happy.
Yeah. And then so the philanthropy piece. I know that's maybe Nelvia when she's 50, 60 years old, I don't know, God willing, right? Like, what's the vision on that?
So I'm so glad you asked because that is an important piece of everything that I do. I serve on a few nonprofit boards around town and I donate and I give my time and my money and my resources and all the things. And I think that that's probably one of the core value propositions of who I am and what I do because I like to invest in the communities that I serve. And one of the things that I'm thinking about is I'm thinking about investing into a club that's
Mhm,
coming to Charlotte. And so that's something that's kind of on my mind. And this just isn't a club, but it's a club that's designed to be the cornerstone of the community where people can gather and people can meet. And when they come to Charlotte, it's kind of a quintessential community staple, but it's going to take millions and millions of dollars to bring this to fruition. And I want to be on the forefront of that. So
no doubt.
that's what I'm thinking about. And then
I can't wait for the launch party.
yes, and then just continuing to serve and give. I love doing that. I love, love, love watching the Charlotte community grow and thrive. I mean, we were just ranked number 1 in
See
popular
that? Yeah, that was
out of
great.
all the US metros. I was like, "Really?" And so, if you think about when I moved here 10 years ago, I thought I was too cool for school. I'm moving from California to Charlotte, and now just look at how Charlotte has
Really
arrived and what it has become, and I'm selling real estate in such a cool
I
city.
know.
So
Charlotte's a boom town, and it has definitely leveled up big
it
time.
has. I mean, did you ever think we'd be having arena shows with Bruno Mars at Bank of America
No,
Stadium?
never.
When I was here, the shows came to Columbia and Greensboro. They would just bypass Charlotte. Charlotte
Just
wasn't
like,
even.
nope, not even on the radar.
Now we are a destination.
Yeah.
Yes, so very
Yeah, it's a pretty interesting. So the media attention. So you are exceptional at getting featured and obviously with the 2026 HG Dream Home. How would somebody that wants to get their foot in the door with media, like what is like, give me like steps 1 and 2 that you would recommend they take to start with that?
So I know I keep saying this, but I kind of fell into media. I kind of fell into it because one of my neighbors in my farm community was a reporter, and he was writing a story during COVID, just kind of about the work from home and the quarantine and teaching kids at home.
Mm.
So that kind of one story kind of sparked five more stories. But I would say for someone who is wanting to just get started and get featured, I would say become a subject matter expert on whatever it is that you want to be showcased about. I would also say work with a communications coach or a PR expert or go to Toastmasters because when you are called for these types of opportunities, how you speak is really important. Secondly, I would say you may have to pay to play to get started. So if that means that Charlotte Business Journal is doing a feature on people on the move and it's $350 to be in the article, you may have to pay that. If one of the local magazines is doing a feature and it's $300 to submit your story,
Mhm.
you may have to do that because what you want to do ultimately is to create a digital footprint of yourself, your expertise in Charlotte. Because when someone is looking you up, that's going to be the
Mhm.
credibility that follows you. So even with like some of the local realtor magazines, even if you get in there with the picture of your dog or you get in there for doing something else besides selling homes, just get in there because that is something else that you can leverage. And there's a lot of small publications. They have publications for your neighborhood. They have publications for living on the lake. They even have these publications for getting your listings featured in home magazines. You just
Mhm.
have to start somewhere, and then those additional doors will open.
That's beautiful advice, and you're always so honest and real with everything, and that is also something I very much admire and appreciate about you. Because 'cause you're like, "Guess what? You're gonna need to know somebody, so work your sphere of influence, right, to get the foot in the door, hire the coach or the PR person, get your language and presentation together through Toastmasters or something similar, and then don't be surprised if you have to pay to get the first pieces of it. And then it's like a real estate book of business. It just starts growing from there because once the track record is yours, it's yours.
It does start
And thank
growing.
you, because a lot of people BS when they're like, "Oh, you just get media attention." I'm like, "No, no, 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 no. Let's go back to the intentionality part of it."
A call from a woman from one of the big online portals, and this was about 3 years ago. And she was asking me questions about a community. And I was like, well, how did you find me? She said, you sold the most homes in this zip code. So I wanted to reach out to you specifically. So you'd be surprised what type of digital footprints can be created. And also with this world of AI, people are now going on to Chat GPT and saying, who's the number one agent in Wesley Heights? Who's the number one agent in Plaza Midwood? And those digital footprints and those blogs and those articles, that's all going to feed into there
Mhm.
to help you be relevant.
Yep. I love it. All right. Nelvia Bullock. If somebody wants to send you a referral, follow or support your work, how do they do that? Where can they find you?
My website, www.nelviabullock.com, or you can check out my Instagram at Nelvia Bullock Realtor. And then you can just slide in my DMs and I'll take
Mhm.
it.
Yep. And she will I mean, if you want this level of service for your referrals, she is top notch, guys. So, if you have been inspired by Nelvia's journey, what she's doing, thinking about coaching, I will link the Monday at 1 o'clock discovery call. You can jump on there with me, decide if it's for you or not for you. And Nelvia, you are inspiring. Thank you for pouring back into the real estate community and our community at large. You are a amazing woman.
Well, thank you for having me. You've just been such a wonderful mentor, friend, and coach to me over the years. I attribute a lot of my success to things that I've learned from you. And so just to see what you've done with your coaching program, it just lights me up and makes me so excited for you and for all your future students
Yes. And this
and
is
for the
part of
future commissions that they will make as a
yes,
result
the
of this
change
investment. You
and you
have
have
to
to
invest, guys.
yeah, you have to invest in
Invest.
yourself, and it's like real estate changed my life. I know it changed yours, and find people like Nelvia, find people like me that are just legitimately supportive of each other. I think that's another
Yes.
critical part.
So I have to jump back now that you said that. You have to, when you are in this business, you have to find your tribe, the people that do the same work that you do, that you can call and talk about the crazy buyer, the crazy seller, or, oh my God, I can't believe this builder did X. You do have to have people that you can vent to and people that can understand where you're coming from.
Yeah,
So finding your tribe is a really important piece to all of this too.
community. All right, Nelvia, thank you. I'll see you
Okay,
soon.
okay, bye.
Bye.